What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Earlier this season, Bungie updated all of the Garden of Salvation raid weapons, and have given all of these weapons new perks, a new origin trait, and they can all be crafted after discovering 5 red border versions of each weapon. The new origin trait alone is worth the grind in getting these new weapons, as the photo inhibition origin trait grants each of these weapons increased damage against enemy overshields. So today we'll be covering a couple of different methods that you can call upon to quickly and easily farm these new raid weapons and their red border counterparts. We'll be covering a few out-of-bound glitches that solo players will be able to use to be able to access each of this raid's secret chests. And we'll be covering a few glitches that will make it super easy to farm some of these encounters. Our first glitch takes place in the Embrace during the opening encounter, which we've already been looking at footage of. With the use of an area denial grenade launcher, you can activate each sequence of tethers prematurely, allowing you to bypass the majority of the enemies in this encounter, while speeding up the overall process quite a bit. By sending 3 players ahead to handle each sequence of tethers, you can leave the other 3 players behind to follow the boss around and pick up its poop. By only defeating the Cyclops that you need to open the different sections, you will be able to complete the challenge for this encounter, so make sure nobody shoots any Cyclops at the end. By doing so, you'll receive a second chest when this encounter ends, which is going to make this an extremely lucrative encounter to farm when this raid is a weekly featured raid. Our second glitch takes place during the Consecrated Mind encounter. This allows us to bypass the entire encounter, granting us with an automatic completion that does include the challenge. To pull this glitch off, you will need to get 2 players set up and ready at the tether. Have a third person standing by just outside of the range of the tether. At the right moment, this player will step in to complete the tether, which would ordinarily start the encounter. With those players in position, you will now need to send 1 player off to journey into an out-of-bounds area, where the Consecrated Mind is hanging out at before this encounter begins. You'll need to have Strand Grapple, a sword would also be helpful, and you will need a grenade launcher like the Mountaintop or the Elythium to be able to blast yourself up in the air. Head over to this corner of the map where you see this big jagged rock sitting on the ground. Get up on the rock and use your grenade launcher to propel yourself upwards so that you can grab onto the next ledge. Once you've gotten up to the first ledge, jump up to the top portion of this wall structure, but be careful as you will trigger a death counter if you step too far in. you'll now need to turn around and blast yourself up and over to the opposing wall, where there's a small opening at the very top. If it's your first time attempting this, it may take a few attempts to get it right, so if you're going for efficiency, you may want to let somebody with experience handle the job. A big thanks to Duddits and everyone else who participated in this run-through, and a big shout out to Iceman for having the patience to help me get through these mechanics. Once you've gotten into the hole, you can now drop down into the cavity, where you'll have to drop down again onto an invisible floor panel. You'll be able to see the Consecrated Mind from this position, and at this point, you can start using your mountaintop, or the Elithinum, to force push the boss off the side. It might take several shots to pull this off, which is why the Elithinum, or the Fighting Lion, would be a good option for this. Once the boss drops, you'll need to start a timer of 130 seconds. The player who's out of bounds will need to backtrack and get back into the boundaries of the map before the timer ends. When the timer hits 0, that third person who was waiting on standby will need to step in and complete the tether. When the tether links, the encounter will automatically complete, and the doorway to the rest of the raid will open up, with your chest waiting for you. When the Garden of Salvation is the weekly featured raid, this will be a great encounter to farm. With encounter glitches covered, let's move on to the solo player experience, and cover how solo players can access both of the secret chests within this raid. Both chests have the ability of dropping weapons and red borders, but it is just a chance, as these will also drop armor. To access the first hidden chest, we'll be starting at the Embrace, where we will be bypassing this opening encounter. To do this, we will need to jump across the gap and run down the tunnelway, so having grapple and a sword will most definitely come in handy, but you should also have the Salvation's Grip and a rocket launcher with you. The first thing you need to do is cross the gap and run down the alleyway of flowers. Once you've reached the end of the path, you'll need to sneak through a small crack in the map, which is up here at the top of this wall structure. The best way to do this is to just jump from the platform and immediately slide into the walkway. If done correctly, you'll be able to run through this top section, where you'll need to run along the edge before dropping down. As you drop down into this cavity, you'll need to aim for this area that we're using in the footage. When you drop down, you will need to blow yourself up, which is why we're using the Salvation's Grip. If you are able to do this before you touch the ground, you should be instantly teleported into the undergrowth. If you didn't load into the undergrowth, then you most likely touch the ground. So what you'll need to do is cover up your res spot with a few shots of Salvation's Grip. And before those crystals disappear, you'll need to jump into the air and blow yourself up without touching the ground. Once you've done it correctly, you'll be teleported down below into the undergrowth, where you'll be able to head directly towards the first secret chest. After looting the first chest, we can head on over to the second chest by leaving the undergrowth and heading towards the second encounter of the raid. Once you've gotten to this back area, which is typically referred to as 3, you'll be able to scale this outer wall. And to do that, you would need to use Salvation's Grip and climb up all the crystals. But you can also achieve this by grappling onto a rocket, which would send you straight up to the top, cutting down the time that it would take to climb over all the crystals. Once you've gotten up to the top, you'll notice that there's a death barrier. To cross through this area, we need to go quickly. We need to go high, but then we need to come down fast, because we can only be within the death zone for a total of 4 seconds. This is where Grapple and Eager's Edge can really make things easier for you. Once you've crossed the death barrier, you'll be able to traverse as you normally would to get to the second secret chest. If you have any more rocket ammo, you could rocket yourself up further, but if not, you'll have to take the long way. With each of these weapons requiring 5 red borders before crafting, it could take a while to unlock them all. But by utilizing the glitches that we've covered today, you'll be able to take a big chunk out of that time investment. With that said, I wish you all the best of luck out there. Let me know what your thoughts are on these new weapons and how you think they compare to the other weapons in Destiny's other raids. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated and both really do help support the channel. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.